and welcome to the Loft Sessions. I'm Enty.
And I'm Lexi, and tonight's show is brimming with big names. We have a drag race favourite, the cream of the crop, it's BenDeLaCreme.
And we'll be joined by award-winning DJ and one of our favourite Brighton residents, it's Fatboy Slim.
And we've been hanging out with the incredible Irvine Welsh, author of Trainspotting novels.
And returning for another live freestyle challenge with his Rolodex of rhymes, Gramski's back.
Plus, we'll be showcasing two fantastic new music acts, Dottie and Marius Bear. But first, he sold over 1 million mixed compilation albums in the UK. He's DJ'd alongside some dance music's biggest names, such as Tiesto, Faithless and Armin van Buuren. He's also celebrated a #1 spot on the iTunes dance album chart. He is the first of our big-name Brighton residents. It's Dave Pearce.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Nice to be here on your lovely city.
Lovely to have you here.
It's gorgeous. I like a bit of fur.
Got some options. So, Dave, you were a pirate radio DJ in your early days. What is the difference between kind of working on there and Radio 1? Do you have more, autonomy?
Wow, there's a big difference between that. Yeah. Well, I did pirate radio when I was still at school, actually. I set up a college radio project, and there was a sort of in-house radio station, but secretly we were running a pirate radio station on the side, which used to go on FM, and they didn't find out till later on. So, obviously, pirate radio, total free choice in what you do, no real rules, whereas Radio 1, lots of rules. And I think what was interesting going in there from that kind of background was slightly fighting the system, and trying to be individual and stamp your own identity on what you do. I mean, they're both great. It was an amazing opportunity to be able to join Radio 1, and I was there for 13 years. But yeah, it was quite funny having set up a radio station that was kind of against all that initially, all those years earlier. But when I set up the pirate radio station, there was only 3 radio stations in London. There was Capital Radio, LBC, which is a talk station, and then there was Radio 1. There wasn't the great choice of different styles that you can get nowadays. So yeah, we wanted to do our own thing, really.
Well, speaking of that, you hosted the first hip-hop radio show. And what was that like, bringing hip-hop really to the forefront? Do you think everyone was ready for that? Did you get any resistance?
Well, when I first did it, there was actually a guy called Mike Allen who did hip-hop and electro show on Capital Radio. I did the first BBC show. And my emphasis was actually on rap. He was playing more like electro, but I was really interested in the whole concept of people using rap to, put messages across and what have you. And the BBC gave me 4 shows. They said, you can have 4 shows and that will be it. But it really took off. And I knew that there was a real sort of interest in this is obviously in London, because the music wasn't really being played anywhere apart from on the old pirate radio station. And, so we gave people a bit of a chance to have a voice, get heard. We had new rappers on the show each week. I ran a competition, because there weren't any UK rappers signed to record labels. So I used to do a competition each week. The winner would come to the studio, do a session. And then eventually those guys started getting signed to record labels. So it was a really exciting period to be part of the birth of UK rap, I suppose. And, also working with people like Public Enemy and Run DMC and all those guys was amazing.
I mean, what was that like? Because it was also the Beastie Boys as well. What was it like working with people that now are such enormous names?
Well, I did all those tours. I did the first Beastie Boys tour. I did LL Cool J's first show, Public Enemy. I got to know all those guys really, really well. And it was really exciting because I knew how big those nights were going to be. And, I think particularly with Public Enemy, when I first met them before they came to the UK, I just knew that was going to explode for them in London, and everyone was really there to see them. And they didn't really know that because they weren't that well known in America. They were just starting on their career. But when they played Hammersmith Odeon that first time, I mean, the energy in the room was just unbelievable. And it was like a wall of energy from the crowd that just almost knocked, when I went on stage to introduce them, it was incredible. And what was weird about Public Enemy is I gave them a cassette of the concert, and then they put that and me on their next album. So that was really weird, and they didn't tell me they were going to do that. So when It Takes a Nation of Millions came out, I put the album on, it was me on the front of it. It was insane, really, to be on this big American rap album.
You're managing a hot new trance DJ called Farius. Why did you choose to manage him?
Well, this guy Ferris, he came up to me in the street in Amsterdam at a music convention, a bit like the one they have here in Brighton. And, he knew that, because I moved on to be a trance DJ, and he just came up to me and said, I'm in the studio making music, would you be interested in hearing it? And I was so sort of impressed by his passion and persistence. Then I found out that, you know, he was classically trained, you know, he had lots of great ideas. Yeah, he's a very musical guy, and really, really serious. He reminded me of Above and Beyond, who I signed, you know, about 20 years ago or something, and, you know, they've just had a #3 album in America, and they're a kind of progressive house trance act. So he really reminds me of them, and, you know, it's just nice to support new talent and bring people through.
Definitely.
So it's an exciting thing to
We've got a clip of him. We'd love to see him in action. If we can all have a look at that one.
Oh, let's have a look. Yeah.
Have a look. Now, I imagine that it works really well being a DJ and managed by a DJ, and especially in times now that, unfortunately, Avicii passed away, and they said that it was the pressures of the industry that are being blamed. What do you think now can be done to help support people with all of those pressures?
Well, there was lots of pressures within the music industry. Obviously, it's very competitive for a start, and you have to deal with a lot of rejection and knockbacks on the way. Obviously, Avicii had gone past that point. But one of the things about touring is the loneliness of it sometimes. You know, you can be in a different hotel room in a different city every night by yourself quite often, endless journeys on planes and that, where you don't actually see any friends or anybody. So it's conditioning yourself to that and your own well-being. So yeah, I mean, I think it's been a shock for all of us what happened with Tim at Avicii, and you know, we will have a sense of responsibility to try and, you know, make sure that the welfare of our artists is okay. I mean, I was involved actually in you know, I had one actor years ago that had, you know, massive hit record, and I looked at their itinerary one day when they were doing, you know, about 3 different countries in a day, doing all these different shows, and I, you know, actually stopped and said, no, we can't do this to this artist, and we actually got them a private jet in the end to get them from one place to the other, because I was really concerned that they were going to be ill. So you know, it's very easy when you get offered all these amazing things to want to do everything, and it's sometimes you have to say no, or just say, well, we just need to step it back a bit.
Definitely. Right, are you guys ready for some live music?
Yes.
We're going to head to Megan in the Loft with the first of our live sessions.
In the studio with us now is an incredible lyricist and songwriter. Here she is with her track Mind Ramblings. It's Dottie!
Running with the words, trying to keep up, but I'm always sitting with my feet up on the sofa. But I made an oath to her myself, always in the third person, it's better for my health. Learning to detach my mind, stop the flow. Raging thoughts, always wanting to slow the time, the moment. You own it, soon outgrown it. Now all they want to do is put their own in it, but you don't want to blow. You made that clear, your money is your lifeline. That's what's defining this society, this era. Sometimes I don't want to hear her, that's myself again, it's on myself, I must depend. We've been taught that being a girl makes you weak, prevents you from seeking a manly profession. In inverted commas, what's the obsession with putting up boundaries? We're fighting to break them, we're not forsaken, and don't be the one that's faking. Your pleasure is your truth, that's what leaves you shaking. It's the birds and the bees, it's how we get a bun baking. In the oven, Hansel and Gretel, a witch's coven. It's an American horror story, doing whatever it takes to get the glory. It's a risk, it's worth gambling. Thank you for your time, it's been my mind ramblings. It's a risk, it's worth gambling. Thank you for your time. And like Oasis in the morning, that's my story. I tell it through my words, I don't let no one do it for me. A perfectionist, receptionist for the church of an atheist. Provide a knife for a society that needs a damn facelift. With its rights and its wrongs, but even if you're right, you've got to fight if you don't belong. Refuse to fit because it's a joke. You're better off if you're a bloke. Be not for your skills of pigment, or if you're labelled as a delinquent because you're young and you see the cracks. Trying to open people's eyes up just like a life hack. You're oppressed and you're desperate, spoiler alert. Like Jack in the Titanic, we're gonna need a bigger life raft. Gonna make it through this era. And like the hips of Shakira, my words don't lie. I'd rather spend my nights looking at the sky. If you're a girl or a guy, I'd rather not be defined, it's fine. The concept of gender should be locked up like an offender against the law. What you behind bars for? For allowing the world to believe that because of the way we identify changes our equality. It's a risk, it's worth gambling. Thank you for your time, it's been my mind ramblings. It's a risk, it's worth gambling. Thank you for your time. A boy once told me he wanted to take it back to basics. A human race, let's face it, it needs some improving. The desire for greed removing, and for the media to just stop deluding. Too many I know feeling that pressure. My friends come to me to confess their depression. We're not asking for a procession to mourn our childhoods. I hate looking on the bad when there is good. I just wish we were taught young to live more, to take a chance, to know we don't have to have a reason for our happiness. It's a risk, it's worth gambling. Thank you for your time, it's been my mind ramblings. It's a risk, it's worth gambling. Thank you for your time, it's been my mind ramblings. It's a risk, it's worth gambling. Thank you for your time, it's been my mind ramblings.
So Dave, what do you think of Dottie then?
That was great. Yeah, no, it's great to see. That's a sort of real journey from the beginnings of hip hop, if you like, into a different
Spoken
world.
word,
Yeah,
it's
spoken word,
massively
so,
on the rise, which I think is a
Yeah.
great influence to the
Yeah.
whole industry and the music scene.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dave. We will see you a bit later.
Ooh.
Please help yourself to some snacks.
I'll
and,
have a snack.
few
I do like a
beverages.
nice
Have a
snack.
bev at the bar.
I'm here for the free
Can we
treat.
please give Dave a big hand?
So coming up, we catch up with the wild and wonderful Irvine Welsh, author of Trainspotting.
Plus, joining us on the sofa, we'll be praising the one and only Fatboy Slim. Welcome back to the Loft Sessions. Now, our next guest is another Brighton resident with a global career.
He's won 2 Brit Awards and an amazing 10 MTV Awards. He's literally just landed from Rome and legged it all the way to our studios. He's a big beat legend and one of the biggest names in electronic music. He's right here, right now. It's Fatboy Slim. Did you enjoy that pun?
Until they're right here, right now, bit. You were doing well until then.
Thought we'd add a pun in there.
How was Rome?
Rome was lovely. Very different kind of TV show. But yeah, no, it's fun. I was playing a big square in a May Day parade kind of thing, DJing on the telly.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, sounds lovely.
Now, with your career, you've been doing it for over 2 decades now. 3 decades now.
85 I started. You do the maths. What's that? 33 years now.
Can't do maths that quickly,
No,
unfortunately.
it's 34 years.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Now, when you were a teenager, did you have any idea that was the trajectory of where your life was going to go?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, from when I think I was 8 years old and I saw Donny Osmond. He came to town and he had a leather jacket with his name in studs on the back, and he had a piano with light bulbs on it. And when he played it, it lit up. And I looked at 8-year-old me, went, I want some of that. That's what I want to do. So yeah, no, I mean, from when I was 8 years old, all I wanted to do was be in the music business. And I didn't. It wasn't the path. The path that I followed wasn't the one I figured, but I always wanted to be doing something like this.
Yeah, in 1996, we saw like the birth of the big beat, the big parties, and all that lot. How did it feel to be like part of something so fresh and new?
It was really exciting. It was really exciting to feel like you were kind of breaking rules and changing things in the music industry. Very proud to be doing it in Brighton because for the first time in my career I was on a Brighton record label recording everything in my home studio in Brighton. So it's very nice to put Brighton on the map, which is one of the things that kind of the Big Beat Boutique did. But yeah, no, it was very exciting. I'd already had 2 careers by that point, so I didn't think there was anything else I could do.
I mean,
and
you played as a bass player before that, haven't you? It's a big change to go from that to dance music.
It took me a while to work out I'm a better DJ than I'm a bass player.
Now, you have done some amazing, really, really large beach parties as well. I know that you basically shut down Brighton when you played here, all of Brighton Beach. What was that experience like? Because it's so infamous now.
It was actually quite scary because the first one we did, there was about 65,000 people, and we thought, this is brilliant, this is like, it doesn't get any better than this. But the second one, it kind of snowballed a bit, and we realised that it was kind of out of our control, and it was like Woodstock. It's like, this is bigger than us. And no, for a lot of the day, it was just basically making sure it still happened because the police wanted to shut it down. But in the end, it was more dangerous to shut it down than to do it. But it was quite a fraud. It wasn't the best gig I've ever played, and it wasn't technically. Yeah. And it wasn't the most I've ever enjoyed a gig, but it was probably the thing I'm most proud of in my whole career. To do something like that in your hometown, with your family and your friends and everyone, just a few thousand of your close friends around you. No, it really did. And the fact that we got away with it because it really was touch and go. It was we were pushing the town's infrastructure to its limits.
Yeah, I do remember it. The next day, just rubbish everywhere. Still from the next day.
And there was a slight smell of urine around the town for the next couple of weeks,
Now, you had worked with Danny Boyle for the 2012 Olympics, and there was a record-breaking 26 million viewers. What was it like actually being asked for the first time to be involved with that?
When I was asked, I was really tremendously proud because at that point no one was quite sure about us doing the Olympics. We didn't know if we could do it well, and we didn't know how it would, everyone thought there was going to be traffic or terrorism or just we'd be rubbish. But I was really proud because I kind of felt, because I was the only DJ in the whole show, I kind of felt that I was there representing Great Britain's DJs. So I felt quite proud of that. And it was a very, very exciting, slightly surreal thing to be involved in. I think my enduring memory was having my head shoved up Russell Brand's bum crack for long periods of time. Well, basically, he was ahead of me on the ladder in this little thing where it was like going to battle in a tank. It was actually really cramped and you couldn't see anything. And for about 40 minutes, I'd just sit there, one rung down the ladder from Russell Brand's, when he had a bit of a builder's thing going on in the back. So that's the sort of things that I'd take home from it. It was a very, very strange thing to do, but like I said, a tremendous honour to represent Britain.
Yeah, and Danny Boyle's done so much. I mean, he was obviously the director of Train Spotting, and we actually managed to talk to Irvine Welsh when he came down for the Brighton Music Conference. So our very own Megan got to grill him when he was down.
So we're here with Irvine Welsh. We've just seen you talking, and it was really fascinating to watch you do that. You're a really good storyteller, it's obvious why you're a writer. So you spoke a bit about the DJing that you're doing. What kind of tracks do you play on your set?
I kind of do classic disco, kind of acid house remixes of classic disco. So you've got the kind of, I like the kind of, the acid house beat, but I like the kind of sort of, the affirmative element of disco, so you hear all these disco lyrics and you hear these disco licks when you're going onto the dance floor and think, this is great, I remember, this is part of the lineage and heritage, but you've also got a kind of a modern housey beat. There's a guy in Chicago called Crepebug who's just remixed and remastered all of these old disco songs, so I've kind of nicked a lot of his stuff and it's brilliant.
It's fine, we won't tell him.
Yeah, no, but no, it's great that somebody does that. Somebody's prepared to go around, pick up all these old disco tracks and just kind of remix them in the house, kind of sort of, put a house spin on them.
Obviously, with the DJing experiences as well, and the story of Brenton in Dead Man's Trousers, was that kind of getting that first hand-on experience helped you with writing the story?
I've got friends that are kind of DJ managers, and these guys are kind of like, they are unsung heroes. They put in loads and loads of work, and they kind of, they do it at kind of personal cost to themselves. They're kind of, it's like, and it's a massively underappreciated kind of job, And you're dealing with people that kind of, it's the whole thing. I mean, I know myself when I go on tour, even a book tour, it's like, you become very infantilized because somebody does everything for you, and it's not really a good thing. But The alternative to that is that you start worrying about and fretting about everything, so you kind of just have to let yourself become this kind of spoiled bastard basically on tour, you know. And it's tough for somebody dealing with all that, you know. So yeah, and I wanted to get the idea that he's a frustrated artist himself, so he's going to be put upon, he's going to be jealous of the DJs and their success, but he's also going to kind of, you know, they're his cash cows as well, you know, so it's all that kind of, but he's wasting his life basically on kind of facilitating their creativity rather than his own. So it just seemed to be, you know, exactly all the contradictions that character would be going through.
Is there anything that you haven't delved into the creative industry that you'd love to do that you haven't yet?
I've not really done music, whether it's been dance music or kind of other kinds of music. I've not done it to my satisfaction, you know. So I'd like to be able to produce something that kind of thought, this is really great, you know. So, you know, I kind of you get kind of you inch closer to it, but you know, writing wise, you know, the writing's so kind of big for me right now that you know, the music is always going to be a hobby, unfortunately, but the music is actually my first love rather than the writing and, you know, TV and film.
Now, Trainspotting really helped to launch electronic music and trance music in the US. Did you have to alter any of your work to fit the US audience?
No, it's sort of fitted. I would never pander to Americans, and and breaking America was never important to me. But it just sort of happened. I think I accidentally made records that they liked. But also there's that sort of age-old thing of you take American music, like the Beatles took soul music and Rolling Stones took blues and they sold it back to Americans. There was a bit of that going on because we listened to like hip-hop and house and then kind of mashed it all up and sold it back to them. That felt kind of satisfactory.
Yeah, bringing that into a completely different country that hadn't really experienced that kind of music. It wasn't really...
And they're going, where does it come from? I went from your black gay suburbs that you never listened to.
Because you always find like such gems in all the music you've released. How do you find them?
Just persistence, really. I don't know. I think if I have got a talent, it's probably an ear for a hook. Hearing something, whether it's as a DJ or as a producer, just hearing a hook and going, yeah, repeat that 30 times, people will really they'll dig that rather than hating you for it. So yeah, I think it's just having an ear and thinking, that's catchy.
Now, it's interesting some of the things that you've done because you had a concept album that then ended up being made into a musical, which was Here Lies Love. It
was actually a musical that ended up as a concept album because
was it?
Yeah, first we didn't have the money to stage the musical, so we thought we'd just make the album, the soundtrack of it, and do it that way around, which kind of worked. And for me, that was all about David Byrne. Now, David Byrne has always been an absolute hero of mine. And he just rang me up, and when you get the phone call from David Byrne, you just say yes. I'd already said yes before I heard what the project was. And when he said it's a musical about the life of Imelda Marcos, I was like, oh, yeah, OK, I can do that.
Sure.
But it was, it was great. It was really good fun to do. It was done over about 5 years. It was 5 years between starting work on it and actually it being on Broadway, off-Broadway. And then it ended up at the National Theatre about 10 years later. But it was just, for me, it was just to work with a genius like David Byrne was, whether it's something that you're used to doing or something that you're not used to doing, it was a fantastic learning curve.
Do you think there was any new skills you kind of gained from that whole experience that you hadn't thought of before, and then it came round, it was like, oh, wow, okay?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, David Byrne's quite a thoughtful man, and I'd never, to be honest, never put a huge amount of thought into music. I always thought it should just be kind of fairly off the cuff. But David Byrne's got a kind of obtuse thought process that he puts in, as well as kind of sense of humour and his sort of quirky, sort of eccentric side. There is actually a real kind of underlying soul to it. I mean, for instance, the story that he was trying to tell with Imelda Marcos, it was like, I don't want any mention of how many shoes she had. And, that's not the story. We want to go a bit deeper than that. And it was, it was a wonderful experience working with him.
Definitely. Stay with us, because we will be back with more Norm and some freestyle frolics with MC Gramski.
Welcome back to the Loft Sessions. Soon we'll celebrate the return of our mercurial miracle, MC Gramski.
And Fatboy Slim's still here.
Your shows are very much a production. So where do all of your ideas come from for when you're on stage?
Some come from the tunes, some just things that I think will freak people out or make them higher or make them laugh or smile. Yeah, no, I mean, the idea is sort of take people who are quite high and take them higher. So however that is, whether it's making them laugh or just mangling their brains, basically any weapon that's at my disposal. When I started DJing, we were the people who were in the corner of a club. Nobody looked at us or cared about us. And then somewhere along the line, we got elevated to being on stage and being at festivals. And the thing is, you can't really up your game when you've just got to turntables. So we had to think of ways of making it more exciting. And basically, from fake boxing rings to, luminescent octopuses. Anything goes as long as you can get people, you turn people on. Because we can't do like get drum solos and run from one end of the stage. And we just have to stand there and play tunes. So within those parameters is what you can do with technology.
Yeah, in 2016, you took up your first residency in Ibiza. Obviously, you've played there so many times. What took you so long?
The reason I couldn't play Ibiza as a resident before was just because it was unhealthy for me to stay on the island for too long. Don't want to put too fine a point on it, but I was a bit like a kid in a sweet shop.
Yeah.
If you left me there for too long, I ate too many sweets, and then I made myself ill. So before it was after about 3 weeks on the island, I would have to be posted home in a small bag. So there's no I could do a whole. Whereas now I'm much more responsible and sober person. So I'm now trusted to be there all summer. But I actually commute. I don't stay there. I don't live out there in the summer.
What are your favourite memories from Ibiza?
The ones that I can only vaguely remember, and it has to be corroborated whether they really happened or not. I don't know. I think probably most of them happened at Manumission. That was kind of a moment in my life when all my clubbing dreams just came true, and I found this crew and this club that just was just like the last days of the Roman Empire. And some interesting and mind-altering, mind-changing things happening there.
I mean, you're working on a film now with Julian Temple about Ibiza called The Silent Movie. One, I mean, it's interesting because it's silent.
Yeah.
And also, how did you start getting involved with all of that?
Julian just asked me if I'd want to do it, and I've always wanted to do a film soundtrack. I've done odd little things, but to actually do a whole soundtrack with a director that I really respect and love. And also because I've got a history with the island. But I mean, Julian's unique take on it is to do it the silent movie, rather than just have a load of talking, like me and Pearce and Tom, and we just tell our stories. There's no interviews, there's no talking heads, there's no people reminiscing. So the story is told simply by visuals and music. And also the story that Julian is telling is how it came to be how it is now. Going back to the Phoenicians and the Romans, and I mean, for instance, Ibiza's named after the Phoenician god of dance, who was called Bez. Can you believe?
I did not know that.
That's Bez is spelled B-E-S, not Z. But so little stories like that. It's a whole lot of little stories about how it came to be how it is today.
Yeah, I think that's something that very few people know about. We just know it for what it's came to be now and the massive
Exactly,
dancing.
So, Julian is schooling us all. I've learned an incredible amount doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Can you, or ever have you tried to have a go at rapping?
I have, in the past. It was not a pretty sight.
Well, it's good that you have tried at least.
And it's a good thing you're not going to ask me today because you've got a professional.
No, we do have actually someone else who is coming back. We've got Gramski here for the second time. Last time he ended up rapping about a chicken eating unicorn.
Fried chicken eating unicorn.
Yeah. So we're going to bring on the wonderful Gramski.
Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to be back here at the Loft Sessions. So last time I was rapping about unicorns eating fried chicken, which was a bit daft and a bit silly. So this time what I'd like to do is talk about dreams and aspirations, all right? So what we're going to do is create a fictional character. I'm going to get a first name, surname, where they're born, their life dream, and then also, like we all have, there's some sort of obstacle in the way that they have to overcome, all right? So it's hopefully going to be a bit of a tale of a hero's journey of whoever you come up with today. So first of all, I need a first name, please. A first name. Who's got a first name for me?
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. Giuseppe. I can work with Giuseppe. Giuseppe. Cool, man. Thank you very much. So first name, we've got Giuseppe. A surname, please. Surname.
Halliwell.
Giuseppe Halliwell. Close relation with Jerry. All right, cool. And where were they born? All right, place of birth, please. Giuseppe Halliwell. This is from my own memory, all right? Giuseppe Halliwell.
With Hemel Hempstead.
In Hemel Hempstead. That works. Lovely. Giuseppe Halliwell, born in Hemel Hempstead. It will be pronounced like that the whole way through the freestyle. And most important thing, what is Giuseppe Halliwell's life dream? All right, what does she want to do?
Singer-songwriter.
Singer-songwriter, cool, that works for me. Let's go to legend, that is Fatboy Slim. What is the obstacle getting in the way of Giuseppe Halliwell's dream to be a singer-songwriter?
A morbid fear of rhymes.
Yeah. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, that is so goddamn good. All right. So, once again, a little reminder, this is the story of Giuseppe Halliwell from Hemel Hempstead, who wants to be a singer-songwriter, but can't because she has an immortal fear of rhymes. Okay. Even at the age of 3, she was screaming, "People don't get me." And her mother and father were saying, "Calm down, Giuseppe. This is impossible. What is going around your head? You grew up in this beautiful area of Hemel Hempstead." She goes, "Look, Mum and Dad, no one understands me. People just think that I am not so damn happy. But what I want to be is be strong and a fighter. I want to be a writer and a singer-songwriter and the strife that is coming right here in my brain." And at the age of 6, they thought that the lady was insane. They were like, "What is going on with this crazy little girl? She just wants to sing about singing and bringing this world into a beautiful place." And on her unusual face, she was just always stepping around the whole Hemel Hempstead place, just going over to a little park bench, then reaching with a little song. But everybody started screaming, going, "Realise every single time that you sing, there is not a single rhyme that you want to bring. None of it links up with a little bit of melody. She knows because rhymes are my goddamn enemy." And she skipped back to when she was really little, when her English teacher was so goddamn miserable. She was looking at her going, "Look at this poem. Honestly, Giuseppe, it's like you don't know things." And she's like, "Oh my God, I need to tell." She goes, "You're about as talented as Jerry Halliwell, which is your surname. You have to understand it. The rhythm and the rhyme, you just have to land it." So she started getting a little bit shy. And there was a tear that remained right there in her eye to the age of 16 and maybe even 17. But when she was singing, she was such a clever, keen, beautiful, melodic little lady. But everybody was looking at her going, "Honestly, you're crazy. Giuseppe, what is going on? You could write a song." She goes, "No, but I can't do it because every time I write, I don't feel strong. I can't even start to write it. I've got this fear of rhymes and I just can't fight it." They said, "What we need to do is push you just a bit. So let's go down to recite so you can start to love that." Can I swear? So then she went into the cypher and everybody started saying, "Listen up, I'm an MC and I'm always praying to the God of the rhythm and the lyricism. It's a given. I spit so many bars, I create a prison." And then she saw the beautiful little prism break apart the shape, and now she just saw a new vision where maybe she can just start to rhyme. She hung out with this dude who was a wonderful guy, and his name was Mike, and he also held a mic, and Mike's mic was just doing this, and as he starts to fight all the way right on it and he brings the lyricism, Giuseppe started coming with his brand new vision, thinking maybe I could rhyme, maybe I could do it, maybe I could start linking and thinking to this music. What I want to do is just building the little structure. I want to find the little rhyme, just I want to hunt the beautiful words, I find them in the little forest. I want to find the linking up rhymes, I want to be honest, I want to get it all mushy like the damn porridge. Maybe go to a place where I can now demolish, where I can smash, where I can crash, where I can bash. Maybe about time, and now she's just gonna flash all the way to it. So I'm saying to your minds, no one in this world should be afraid of rhymes, because everybody in this building, yes, you know it. You could be a singer-songwriter or a damn poet, or maybe you could just stand here lanky and just try and freestyle like your boy Gramski. Thank you very much. Great obstacle, man.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Brilliant, what a game. Do you enjoy that?
Felt bad for her.
So what do you think of our lovely Gramski?
I'm very impressed. I do feel bad that my obstacle wasn't meant to derail you by saying you couldn't rhyme.
No,
but I thought
it was great.
It
gave me a villain. You know what I mean? I could attach a villain to it then.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of pathos going on there, wasn't there?
I think so, yeah. Because like, why would you have an immortal fear of rhyme unless you had some nasty teacher in the past
That's true. I felt bad for her. I was getting a little bit emotional.
There's got to be. No, I loved it. I really loved your obstacle. I love any sort of challenge, to be honest. The more challenging, the better. From the weirdest challenge I've had, some guy asked me to freestyle about the stomach of a tortoise against a Godzilla-sized placenta. I just went, that's a bit weird, that one, mate.
What did you rhyme placenta with?
I have no idea. But I went on for about 10 minutes just out of deliriousness, going, oh my God. He just stormed the pub. He was like, freestyle about that then.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and doing that again.
Oh, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's been a pleasure to meet you, man.
Now, we're coming up to the end of the show. Now, you can see all of that brilliance again on our YouTube channel, and there's also Facebook and Instagram, and all the details will be below.
Can we give it up again for Gramski?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, coming up, we've got a heady concoction of Fatboy Slim, Dave Pearce, BenDeLaCreme, and Marius Bear, so we'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to the final part of the Loft Sessions. Dave Pearce is back.
I'll bring that back in again. How you doing, mate?
And Fatboy Slim's still here.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll finally find out why BenDeLa chose to sashay away from RuPaul's Drag Race. So you guys clearly know each other. Have you worked with each other before?
Yeah, I mean, we've got... when did I first meet Norman? Was in the 80s when I was running Urban Records.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And... what was that
I
track?
used to come and watch you DJ, and then you used to send me records, and then... Yeah, then we used... did we do the Rock 83 thing together?
Yeah. And we did... what was the record that...
Urban All-Stars?
No. The James Brown thing, what was that called?
That was the Urban All-Stars.
Urban All-Stars, yeah. I sang one of his records.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Way back when.
Now, you've both seen the industry change so much, and it has altered a lot since you first started getting into it. How have you watched that change, and what do you think the changes are?
Technology, I think, is the amazing thing, is that, when we were starting out, most of the time, to make a really amazing record, you had to go into a recording studio, but now you can literally make it in your bedroom or your spare room. I mean, it was a quick shift from the late 80s when new technology did come in and drum machines and stuff like that, but it enabled DJs to actually make their own records. But, prior to that, you had to be lucky or signed by a label or know someone had a studio. So I think that, and also the internet's just changed everything, hasn't it, really? I mean, the way that music's communicated and speed. You don't have exclusivity on a record anymore, do you? We were talking about that in the break.
We were just chatting about the concept of rarity. There's no rarity. Once something's on the internet, everyone's got it. Whereas we used to try and hunt out records that no one else had. Yeah. And we could literally dine out on a record for months.
And nobody knew what it was. And some DJs, like Danny Rampling, used to scrub out he'd get an Italian disco record or something, and he'd cover it up so nobody knew what that record was. He didn't want anyone else to have a copy of it. So you had to go to his gig to hear that record, So that made those kind of gigs really, really special. But now, as Norman says, you put out a record and it's instantly available. Everyone's got it straight away.
And people don't really have to pay for it a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer.
The other thing we were saying is, isn't it fantastic that we've still got a job after all these years?
Because we talked earlier about your love for hip-hop. How do you think this generation of hip-hop and everything really differs from the 80s?
Well, I think what's exciting at the moment, certainly in the UK, is the growth of UK hip-hop. When I was set out in the 80s, it was really, really hard because, as I said, there weren't any labels signing British acts. And also, I started doing that, but I was saying to Norman in the break, we didn't really know what we were doing in those days. And now there's a whole bunch of people that have learned on music courses and stuff like that, how to run record labels, how to do management. And also the whole YouTube thing has made the whole thing explode as well. So you've got a bunch of very talented video directors making great music and getting it out to their own audience. So even if radio's not playing their music or anybody else, they've found a way to get it out there and create their own community. And I think that's amazing.
Now we have talked to someone who's also been made quite famous, not only in a reality TV show, but also with extra TV shows on YouTube and on the internet. We spoke to BenDeLaCreme, who is from the hit show RuPaul's Drag Race, and our very own Brighton Lydia Lescabies went down and chatted with her in the powder room at our Club Revenge and gave her a little bit of a probe as to why she actually left RuPaul's Drag Race.
You walked out of Drag Race as the favourite. Why did you do that?
Oh, we're getting right into it. Huh? It was always like a tug of war for me. Whether, obviously Drag Race is this incredible part of our culture.
No one knows what you're going through when you're in
Yeah,
that
I mean,
as well.
it's it's a thing where I was like, oh God, do I want to jump back into this insanity? But it is an important, if you're in the world of drag, you cannot pretend that Drag Race is not on our landscape.
Yeah.
And I've had the honor of being part of it, and I had the honor of being asked to come back. But there are things about it that I don't like. And there's this kind of idea that if you have an opportunity, you have to just get on board with all the things, you know what I mean? Like kind of just be like,
I
well,
totally hear you.
yeah. And I was doing it, and I suddenly had this moment where I realized, oh, I've done everything I came here to do. I feel
And you
like
did so well.
yeah, I
You
felt
were
really proud.
amazing. Yeah.
And I suddenly had, it was like there's a parting of the clouds, and I was like, oh,
BenDeLaCreme's born.
I definitely, that's the thing is people are like, oh, she's this martyr, she did it for everyone else. I was like, no,
You did it totally for
I
you.
did it for me.
Gorgeous. Would you say it had a good or bad impact, like overall?
Oh, I'd say it was amazing.
Right.
I mean, I really, like, I have gotten, there's definitely been the share of, like, people, of haters, as the kids say. But, like, for the most part, I have gotten this outpour of not just, like, support, but, like, appreciation in a way that's, like, not to make myself sound too highfalutin, but it's like I get these people saying, oh, that's like a message I needed to hear, something about my life, I need to hear that. And I don't feel like hoity-toity saying that people are saying that, because I needed to hear it too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I had some moment of superiority. It was just like a moment of clarity that I was like, oh my God, I can share this. I'm in the public eye right now.
Yeah.
Drag Race and the drag community is a community of people who have been oppressed. There are people who've told what they can't do. There are people who've been told that they're less than.
Yeah.
We are all a community who needs to be lifting each other up, because that's the only way that queer people have ever gotten anywhere.
So, how do both of you spend your time when you're not working?
He's working all the time.
I like to drag up.
Love to see that.
I was just lost in a world of nipple tassels there.
What's your drag name?
Sorry?
What's your drag name?
My drag... Norma.
Norma. That'll be a great one. Apparently, you can make a drag name if you use your first pet's name and the first street that you lived on.
Wow.
Norma Beach.
Norma Beach. Oh. That is a nice one. What would yours be?
We had a cat called Blackie and Ryden, so I'm not sure. That's not a very sexy name, is
Do you
it?
have Blackie Rider?
Yeah.
If you change it to
Blackie
Rider.
could be
that'd be quite a good one. I think it would work.
Yeah.
Now, both of you are really huge fans of introducing new talent, and so are we at the Loft Sessions. So we've got a final act, and they've got an incredible voice and a huge presence. So we're going to go join Megan once more to find out a little bit more.
Thanks for that, girls. When I heard this artist's voice, I was blown away. Here he is with his track Sanity. It's Marius Bear.
Somewhere, but there's a hole in the fence. I try to face it. It's the sunset. I'm trying to reach you. I'm trying to touch your hand. Are you there, waiting on the other side, ready to guide me? Oh, now you here for me. I'm so thankful for your sanity, and reason. I can't believe it, you still care. I'm so thankful for your sanity try to guide my life in directions where I can't control it. I'm not to hide my liability. I got lines led by society, but I don't know them. After all, you're still here with me. I'm so thankful for your sanity, sanity and reason. I can't believe it, you still care. I'm so thankful for your sanity, sanity and reason. Forgiveness and love is what we share. Oh, guidelines, oh, and I will follow them. Ooh, and I will follow them. Guidelines, oh, and I will follow them. Thank you that you here with me. I'm so thankful for your sanity, sanity and reason. I can't believe it, you still care. I'm so thankful for your sanity, sanity and reason. Forgiveness and love is what we share. Oh, guidelines, and I will follow them.
I think we can all agree that was a great performance as well.
Absolutely lovely. So you both have some songs to pop on our Spotify playlist for the Loft Sessions. What are they?
Mine was Miami by Baxter Jury.
Oh, nice.
And I picked Delirium Silence. So, yeah, that's on my Trance Anthems album at the moment. It's just one of my all-time favourites. Why did you pick your one?
Because it really disturbs my daughter.
Great reason.
Yeah,
That's a little creepy.
I'm the sausage man that makes you doubt everything you love. And my little 8-year-old daughter's trying to process it all.
Yeah.
He doesn't say rude words, but he just...
Just a bit creepy.
Yeah, I like it.
No, we're almost finished with the show, unfortunately. But Norm, you've got a big event coming up in Elroy Town in August in London. How does that differ from other festivals that you've done or that are around?
About 2 more tons of confetti. I was about to say spaghetti. No, confetti.
That was probably good.
2 tons of confetti. No, Elroy put on a really big production, and so we're merging my production with them. So there'll be, all bells and all whistles in the Olympic Park.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I'd be interested in going to that. I didn't know that much about it.
Yeah, it's quite a sight to behold.
And Dave, where can we see you play?
Well, I've got a full UK tour going on at the moment, actually, so all over the country. If you go to my website, davepearce.co.uk, you can see, but lots of festivals around the place.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us on the Loft Sessions. It's been absolutely wonderful having you here. We'd also like to thank BenDeLaCreme and Irvine Welsh for hanging out with us.
To Gramski, Dottie and Marius Bear for providing the music, magic and mayhem.
A huge thank you to our fabulous audience once again. And lastly, to our massive and truly wonderful guests, Dave Pearce and Fatboy Slim.
Now, you can follow us on social media. All the details will be below, where there is even more from Irvine and BenDeLa, extra features and live sessions, all on our YouTube channel.
We've been Lexi
and Ency at the Loft Sessions.
And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.